Hello everyone, if you've been on social media recently, you may have seen some funny stuff going on with Aglaea. Wheelchair, boots, Shaolin copy pasta, solo leveling, more wheelchair. Clearly something fishy is going on here, so I had to do some digging. It's crack, guys. It's just crack. I have no idea who thought this was okay, but it's freaking OP as you have literally infinite scaling. Not only can it consistently clear the higher difficulties, it's also fairly easy to replicate. It is the new cheese strat like the capitalism strat or remembrance back in the OG days. So today let's see how we can beat currency wars with this cheese. Hopefully this guide will be useful for your runs, or maybe you'll learn something new. So starting off, let's understand the Exodia items that the run revolves around. Anti-gravity boots and the light speed propeller. Every time your unit acts, you'll gain speed amplification, which is then converted to on-field strength, and this has no stack limit. So pair this with Aglaea's already high speed and her ability to double dip in the speed where for Trace 1, Myopic Doom, you can get an absurd amount of speed, attack, and on-field strength. And in a mode where you only have 100 to 150 action value to win, being able to act every 2 is really OP. Next, let's understand the units we'll be utilizing. The core 3, which will be mandatory, are Aglaea, Tribby, and Hyacinth. What's great is that because they're only 1 and 2 stars, they are super easy to pick up early, unlike other strats which may rely on 4 or 5 stars. Now, all 3, if they are just trial characters, will be just fine. Even with trial Aglaea's absolute dookie build, it doesn't really matter because infinite scaling is infinite scaling. The only advice I have for them is that if you own Tribby, equip Dance 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 and have her on field. If you have to use the trial Tribby or don't have the light cone, you can just have her sit off field as light cones work differently there. Now, the reason why you need these 3 would be the Day Demigod bond, where if you have 3 day units, you'll get a free light speed propeller for Aglaea, so you'll now only need 2 anti-grav boots. There are other day members like Anaxa, which can be a temporary alternative, and also Cyrene, which you can eventually upgrade to. After that core, because Aglaea is part of the energy family, she can also benefit from another OP path in the mode. Here we have Ho-Ho and Ting-Yu, which both are super useful and easy to access as well. RMC will be our only 4-star that we really want for the run, and the last on-field character, but the run is just fine even if you don't get them. On the screen now should show you the ideal comp, with those 6 being the baseline. But of course we can get around 8 to 9. So there's 2 routes we can go. If you get enough members, we want to go 7 energy allies with Yuniquely and Saber off field. If you're desperate, you can also just throw Sunday in there to meet the quota. Both bond level 5 and 7 deal a lot of damage, and can also be a majority of your damage for the run. If not, you can just put on supports like Robin, Pela, or whatever you have laying around. If you do manage to get Well or Cyrene, replace Tribby and put her off field. Well is the better option, which I'll explain a bit later. Just want to say though, if you do have E2 Fugue, just use her in every team. She is the best off-field support at E2 and can spam Dance 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 a disgusting amount of times. With the teammates out the way, we can now start going over how the game should go. When starting, you'll see the bosses and to a lesser extent the common enemies you'll probably have to fight. Now what's actually important will be the enemy augments, which you really have to pay attention to. Some augments are pretty harmless, while other ones are instant reset worthy. On the screen is my personal tier list of the enemy augments. Now, there's only 4 that we should actively avoid. Permanent Trauma and Heavy Footfall should be pretty self-explanatory, but the silent run killers and the ones you need to avoid will be Satisfying Brawl and Showdown Impending. The reason why is because of how the team works, so let's quickly talk about it. This Aglaea team is a scaling team, which you can measure by how many anti-grav stacks you have. When fully built, an Aglaea generally should take around 50 to 80 action value to max out Garment Maker stacks, and also get around 10 anti-grav stacks. At that point, you start dealing considerable damage, and assuming you're playing it well, you'll get the next 20 stacks and literally just 30 action value. And at that point, the game's already over. But you only deal damage after around 80 action value. So when they reduce your action value to literally 100 or 80, by the time you actually scale, the fight's nearly over with maybe 10 AV left. As such, you'll keep barely finishing a fight, which your HP will get chipped down until you die. Speaking of the importance of action value, Will is very strong for Aglaea. As mentioned earlier, once you get to around 100 action value, the game is basically over. So with Will being able to add up to 100 action value at 2 stars and below, you will get a lot of free time to scale, which she scales exponentially. After that screen though, we get to choose our investment environment. Now just use your best judgment on what to choose. However, I do want to talk about the only one you actually want to avoid. Don't pick Rainbow Age unless you're using the OP casters comp. The reason why is, well yes, you do scale better, the enemy then starts scaling better than you. If you paid attention, the higher rarity the investment strategy, the more levels the enemy gets. If you get triple prismatic, the enemy gains 18 levels, which nearly triples their HP compared to if you got 3 silver investments. And because sometimes you may get complete dookie, which results in a 0 damage increase, the enemy is still guaranteed to get an HP increase. So I would say it's generally just not worth it. By the way, a fun fact though, if you get triple prismatic and the counter is also prismatic difficulty, they will get a 76,000 HP multiplier as opposed to the base 6,000. So yeah, don't do it. So if you want to know how hard your game is gonna be, just keep track of your investment strategies. Moving on to the game though, we'll start with 2 reward nodes. In the first one, just sell the useless units and upgrade to level 4. In the second, if you get nothing good, just sell the units and upgrade to level 5. If you do, just keep on going. Now, from these 2 reward nodes, we ideally get some boots, as anti-grav boots require 2. But even if you don't get them, it's not the end of the world. The run in the background took me literally to plane 2-6 to get my first one. But of course, the faster you have it, the easier and faster the run will be. Then do your 2 normal battles, which even if you lose or don't complete it, it's perfectly normal and doesn't really matter. What does is the shop. Generally for the shop in phase 1 and 2, you should only care about the components. If there's boots, pick it up. If not, refresh and pray it's there. If it ain't, just choose a component that will be useful. Now, while we're on the topic of items, let's go over how you actually build the characters. Firstly, everyone besides Aglaea can just stick to level 2, so don't waste your money. The first priority though will be the Perpetual Engine, which is a must for Hyacinth and great for Cyrene. It's super important for Hyacinth as enemies in the higher difficulties are fast enough to outright kill you before she ever gets her turn, so being able to insta-ult completely negates that. As for the other items, supports who can attack should get Chasing Stars or Planetary Drill for the fragility debuff. Everyone else can just run Weapon Master or Victory Banner to maximize damage. By the way, Victory Banner is very strong because Aglaea doesn't build Lucky Strike Rate. Next will be Hyacinth's items, which are the Ring of Life and the Chip, which greatly increases your sustain. Low-key sleeper items. Of course, our priority is the anti-grav boots, but all these items will be pivotal for our run. So with us explaining the shop node, there's not much need to explain the combat, reward, and also boss nodes. So we have our encounter ones now. In these nodes, if you refresh, the enemy rarity generally increases with better rewards. But if you're on Prismatic, then the difficulty actually goes down. Now, just choose the fights based on how strong you think you are. All the enemies generally should be around the same difficulty. But if you are fighting the Titankin, it's really easy because of the percent health damage, so do the harder difficulty. But if you're fighting the TVs and Dream Jolt troop, do the easy one unless you're confident that you can kill them. With all that though, the final thing you need is to know how to fight the battles, so I'll give you some tips for each of the characters. Starting with Aglaea, at the start of battle, usually wait until her turn, then do a basic and then cast her ult. That way you can get a free anti-grav stack. The exception is if you're fighting the TVs and get your ult beforehand, so do it early or else they will screw you over. Outside of that though, you just need to know when to use your ult, which there's just 3 different scenarios. Scenario 1. Generally, you will use it immediately after taking a turn. If not, you'll be wasting action value. But in Scenario 2, if you do happen to get a lot of energy and can just ult Aglaea when she's really far away, you can do it then. And lastly, Scenario 3. If your Aglaea is about to die, just pop the ult real quick to get Huohuo's heal. And finally, I'll just guide you on how to play the team, which is dependent on what combination of supports you have. At the bare minimum, if you only have Trivi, you just play completely normally. Next, if we add Sunday to the mix, you can now just simply action advance Aglaea any chance he gets. Now, what's tricky is once we add RMC. By having a solo RMC, at the start of the battle, Mem should insta-max the charge, and you actually want to first action advance Garment Maker because of the action value and also because basic Aglaea doesn't make any stacks. After that though, you always want to make sure to save RMC ult. That way, after Aglaea takes her turn, you can use RMC's ult and instantly have Mem pull her back up. Besides that, the run should play out like normal, assuming you're playing Aglaea optimally like I explained earlier. Moving on though, if you're using Sunday with RMC, that's when it gets a bit funky. Now, you'll pretty much exclusively use Mem to pull up Sunday, which Sunday then pulls up Aglaea. But if you somehow got a lot of action advance and everyone's at 0 AV, then there's not really any point in doing that, so just have Mem pull up Aglaea for true damage. If you're using Welt or Cyrene, there's not really any gameplay changes, so just do as I mentioned prior. And yeah, that's the whole guide. Assuming you're playing it right, you'll probably have results similar to the carnage that's playing in the background. So hopefully with this you can get to Wealth Creator 20, which you gain literally nothing, but hey, it's an accomplishment nonetheless. Now, if you've made it this far, might as well listen to me yap a little about the mode. So I tried to do the Porcupine or Rammus Phainon strat, and like, it just didn't work. Like, yes, you're immortal, but because of Phainon's speed mechanic and the enemies just being kinda slow, relatively speaking, I just couldn't finish in time. That's what she said. Okay, but seriously speaking, I don't think it's that strong, unless I seriously messed up somewhere. Like, on the screen, I had the 3 vest and spammed counter, but as you can see, it was just not it. Also, I hate Archer. That guy needs to be banned. Whilst making the video, I had a pretty good SP run, 2-star Archer and almost 4-star Dan Heng, and I was like, hey, why not give my best items to Archer? Clearly he's gonna be OP as a 5-star. Nah, he just threw 0 damage. And in the span of my miserable final run where I had 3 HP and already used my free revive, he made 8 items, and 3 of them went to Yanqing, and 0 for Dan Heng. And the worst part is, I literally chose difficulty 1, and I still lost. So yeah, never gonna use SP ever again. And yeah, that's my rant. If you got any cool strats or fun stories, I'd love to hear in the comments. Plus, I'm not too sure what's like OP, so just give me some inspiration. Now, by the time this video is uploaded, version 3 content should be coming soon, so I'll be sure to cover that in another video. Besides that, good luck on your runs everyone, and peace.